I was pausing it there because we're in this little church in Tierra Linda, and we just stopped to visit. And actually, I guess what we did was we crashed the church service. They had a service going on, and Pastor Dennis was along with us. And I know that he talked to the pastor that was there, get permission and everything. But what Bonnie Poppy did was she encouraged all of us who, I cannot sing, I cannot carry a tune in a bucket. But for some reason, it was okay in Guatemala where they don't speak the same language. And they were so friendly and welcoming and open that it wasn't even embarrassing, where I would not start singing right now for all of you because you'd run me out of here. But it was just really kind of neat. We sang This Little Light of Mine and the Bible, and they were just very appreciative. And then we also had an experience where there and other times too, when Pastor Dennis would pray, everyone else would just burst out praying, and they're all praying their own prayer, but we're all praying at once. So you're praying together, but everyone's praying their own prayer. And so Pastor Dennis had someone translating for the people so that they could hear, but they were all praying. It was a really neat experience because we're all praying to the same God. We're not necessarily doing it in the same language. And then another time, my family's introduced us to a lady who had just recently lost her husband, and they were very concerned about her. She had not been coming out for the meals, and they were really worried about her. And so we weren't scheduled to stop and see her, but since we were a church group, they asked us if we would stop and see her, and Pastor Denny prayed with her, and she too prayed along with him. And what was really touching about it was they told us later, the translator told us later, that they were praying basically the same thing in two different languages. And so it was just really, you could just feel the Holy Spirit was there with us, and that was just really a wonderful experience also. That picture is Vaughn, who is here right now, but I'll try and tell a little bit of the story that she told us after visiting with her student. Roberto is the young man that you saw there, and I know Vaughn took gifts for them. She took Roberto a soccer ball and some different school supplies, and then also a Bible that's a Spanish Bible. And then she took Roberto's grandmother, who's raising him, one of the prayer shawls like similar to these that she had made specifically for Roberto's grandmother. And she also took Roberto's little sister a doll. And so when they were visiting, the grandmother told Vaughn the story about how when the hurricane,
Yeah.
Katrina, I want to say.
It wasn't Katrina, it was, I don't know, anyway, okay. I
Well,
can't remember the name right now.
when the hurricane went through, she saw that the mud and the water was just going to engulf their home, and she just had moments to get up on a ledge that was, I think, about 6 feet up in the air, and she grabbed her two grandchildren who she's raising and got up on this ledge with them, and she just prayed. She said, God, just it's in your hands, just turn it over to him. And they survived that, but I was not there to hear her tell this story, but I know Vaughn has shared that with us since then, and it was just really touching to hear some of the things that the people have gone through, and that they just really rely on God, and they just have such poverty and such a kind of a hard existence, but they don't let that beat them down. They're just very friendly, and they just have it's just really touching to meet people that have such joy for life in spite of such dire circumstances. And so I think I'm going to end my talk right now, but I do have, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, and then otherwise I have a few things I was just going to pass around that were things that were made in Guatemala to show you. This is one of the, this is one of the woven items, just like a table runner. And I got this at a used market, and they called it a used weeple market.